So supposedly Oppenheimer was part of the Majestic 12, and we're going to get into the Majestic part of the Majestic 12 documents tonight, which is pretty cool. But to start it off, I want to talk a little bit about we've been talking about Sean Kirkpatrick a lot lately, and he's leaving the government position, to take that position at that company they all found out about, but he's been doing some interesting talks lately in podcasts and public speeches and stuff. And so this is in Politico. It says, just from Jeremy Corbell, he says, interesting article by Politico, an interview with soon-to-be former head of the AARO and a current U.S. acknowledged UFO program. This is Sean Kirkpatrick, that he's asked, are aliens real? And he says, that's a great question. I love that question. Number one, best thing that could come out of this job is to prove that there are aliens, right? Because if we don't prove there are aliens, then what we're finding is evidence of other people doing stuff in our backyard, and that's not good, right? And he's taking the whole military, road on all this, which I think is cheesy. It just feels like he's trying to lie about stuff. You know what I mean? To me, that's what the military thing is about. But check this out.
But it's been longer. Were you hoping that you would find some evidence of something that was beyond where we were on this planet?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I told the Joint Staff, and I've told a bunch of folks on the Hill, and I've told some folks in leadership, right? The best thing that could have happened in this job is to find the aliens. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because the alternative is exactly what you just said.
Right.
Right. It is not a good thing.
Yeah.
I had really wanted to dig in and find truly unknown anomalous things we can dig into and go chase.
Yeah.
We've got a big national security problem, and we've got a big flight hazard, operational hazard problem, safety problem.
So, that security problem could be China. It could be Russia. That's always that saying, that it could be one of these places. And that's scary, but also what is just as scary is if it's something that it's been here this whole time that we haven't known about, which I feel like it's more along those lines. But I think he's just towing the company line of the military. You know what I mean? Just always saying stuff about it. But, the whole David Grusch thing is kind of poo-pooing whatever they want to say, because Grusch is coming out and talking more. And it was actually kind of interesting because did you see the Aubrey Marcus podcast with
I just pulled that up. Yeah, I actually just watched that before this. I watched like 3/4 of it.
Yeah, that was super interesting.
What's the guy Jesse Michaels or whatever? This dude, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that here.
Where's he at? Let's see. This guy right here.
Yeah, this is the guy that did
the Grusch documentary, and he's friends with the Yes Theory on YouTube. He's up there like with the most knowledgeable, dude. Like, he really impressed me on this podcast and with that documentary. I was just like a guy up there who just has a fucking wealth of knowledge on the subject, like with you, like up there with you, dude.
Even Jake Paul, bro. Like, Jake Paul blew me away with what he was saying. Like, check this out.
Or into these machines that can transcend time, but humans went down this rabbit hole of splitting the atom to make the bomb.
Exactly. I love that you watched the whole that. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like maybe there's an alternative timeline. And this is a little part in the documentary that Grusch says this. So I'm impressed you picked this up. That Grusch was like, there was possibly an alternative timeline where an alien civilization built civil propulsion, and we went this more destructive route. And yeah, I mean, that's possible. Like Jacques Vallée talks about that too. Maybe this is a gift where it's always like, people always say, why did these things come from light years away just to crash? If they can come from light years away, they're so advanced, why did they crash? And Jacques Vallée thinks that maybe it's a gift. So maybe they're like gifting us the technology to build kind of better civil propulsion.
Isn't that crazy to think that, bro? Because, Grusch talks about that in a recent interview that he did, where You know how Grusch talks about the Italy thing that happened in 1933 in Magenta, Italy, where the Pope ended up telling the United States about it, and we ended up going in there during World War II and grabbing it. That case has been looked into by 2 Italian researchers for a long time, and they just interviewed David Grusch, and it's very interesting what they talk about. Check this out. So this interview, they ask him about. They basically how they start is they talk about how like what was going on during the Manhattan Project, like with Oppenheimer and stuff, is that same team of people turned in to the people who were taking care of the UFO problem, the Majestic 12 group, right? Oppenheimer was part of that group.
Mhm.
And now
Yeah.
everything is compartmentalized,
Mhm.
and it just continued that way, right? And how we were giving stuff to different groups to try and play with, right? Just saying, here, try and figure this
Like
out. They were giving it to different,
private companies, yeah.
yeah, and that we're doing the same thing now. And they ask him, does he know about any time when whistleblowers have come out and been like murdered over this stuff, right? I couldn't believe that they asked that, and this is crazy.
Yeah.
Check this out.
So, Dave, are you aware or can you confirm the fact that murders have been committed for the purpose of maintaining secrecy on everything concerns the UFO UAP subject?
I don't have any personal knowledge, but of the 40 people we did interview, I'd say about 10 to 12 of them had concerns about wet work, murders in the past, people going missing in their workplace. I certainly had some disturbing things happen to me in my personal life from a physical intimidation perspective, which I reported to my agency's counterintelligence element when I was still in government. Obviously, I was never physically harmed, but I certainly saw signatures of what I thought was illicit extra-governmental activity as it related to intimidating me and some of my other colleagues. Just was very, very disturbing and upsetting information. So I don't have any personal knowledge of that kind of stuff, but I did talk to firsthand witnesses who had very high credentials, that were government officials, that did espouse that concern of illicit wet work and other physical intimidation type activities.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because
you
he
know,
talked
that's-
about that on the congressional hearing, but he couldn't really expand on it. So that's
Yeah.
fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, dude. And he's getting ready to go into that skiff. We talked about last week, they finally got him to get his clearance back so he can go in and talk about all this stuff. But he continues, because those are the 2 guys that worked on the Italy project, right? And
When does the skip go down?
I think it's soon, before the end of December, I believe, but I'll have to get more information on that. This is him talking about the Italian craft, and he basically talks about how when it landed, it hit so hard, and it changed how the shape of the craft. So check this out.
So what's interesting about that crash, this is some stuff I haven't stated publicly, but I did submit it for security review. But so when it came down, when they went to recover it, it had a acorn or bell shaped. But what really happened there is they believe that the original craft was lenticular or saucer, because when it crashed, when they came to recover it, all the edges were broken off around.
That's crazy, dude. You know what I mean? To think about that actually happened to it. And because we hear about these things basically being indestructible, and we say, how can they be crashing? Well, if this one hit so hard that it caused the to change its shape, and the area around it, that's the saucer area, to break off,
around the craft. And so it looked like a bell or an acorn, but really it had additional characteristics that were destroyed when it landed. But Pope Pius XII was involved, and he sent a communique through the OSS, the American OSS, and it ended up going to FDR's desk. But as far as I know, unless the records were destroyed, the Vatican and the Pope Pius XII section of the Vatican Secret Archives, there should be documented evidence. From what I was told, now these intel officers that briefed me on this that had firsthand knowledge, they assumed that the Vatican still had those records and they weren't destroyed. And they postulated if they did, what specific post records it would have been in because of the time and Pius XII's involvement back then.
And this shit's just crazy to me. To me, this is one of the most fascinating stories out of all the stuff that's come out.
That was the most fascinating shit from those first interviews that he was doing with what's his name, Cold Hair or whatever.
Yeah,
But when he was talking,
Coldheart.
Coldheart, yeah. When he was talking about all the Vatican shit, because even before that, me and you have always said the truth lies beneath the Vatican. They're hiding so many fucking secrets down there, dude. But
Yeah.
what do you think they probably destroyed shit? Like records?
I don't
and
think the
stuff like that?
Vatican's. I don't think the Vatican needs to destroy shit. I think they can hide it in their secret archives. But I'm sure they've
Yeah.
destroyed some shit. You know what I mean? But hopefully let me know if my internet fucks up and I'll just leave and come
No,
back.
you're good.
But I'll
You're good.
check this shit out.
And of course, that was ultimately recovered at the end of the war and went under U.S. possession after.
Just a curiosity, you have been in the United States Air Force, so this can be your opinion. Since the object crashed in Italy was, after all, rather big, do you think that it could have been taken to the United States in an airplane or via a ship?
And so he's wondering how it got to this.
Yeah,
And he basically just says by ship. But there's a cool part where he talks about bodies. Check this out.
There was no. They don't recall any
Bodies were recovered from the 1933 Magenta UFO crash.
I did ask that question to my briefers, and the answer was no. They don't recall any kind of biological material coming with it. It was just an artifact that they recovered. So I'm not aware of any bodies, and they were not aware of any either.
There's your gift.
Yeah.
Right? If there's no bodies or there was no bodies in it, maybe it was, or it could have been an archaeological dig how they found it. Maybe it crashed millennia ago and whatever was inside, is gone. But that's your gift right there. You know what I mean? And there's stories of them giving gifts all the time. Another thing that he talks about in that interview, which is very interesting, is he talks about all the other countries' programs. He says China has a program.
That's
Russia
what I want
has
to
a
know about,
program.
dude. China
Yeah.
shit, man. Because
He says
there's probably so much wild shit going over there that we don't even know about.
And it's a race to try and figure out the technology first, because everything that they found out from the technology from these ships and these beings has been utilized in a war setting. He said, that's what it's used for. It's used as weaponry.
Reverse engineer it for weapons. Yeah.
Weapons. Yep. 100% for weapons. So that shit's, crazy to me. And we all know that. That's Philip Corso said that. And Grusch even says they bring up Philip Corso. They say, so Philip Corso was right how he said that the military gave it to private enterprises and told them it was a fake, origin story, and they had them work on it. And Grusch is like, I don't know if what he said is exactly true, but that's similar to what I saw happen, which is very interesting.
Yeah, and they give us these gifts, and they're probably like, "What are these dumb fucks? They're supposed to make their lives easier with this shit, not try to kill each other with it."
Yeah,
the aliens from their perspective.
Yep.
Or the future us.
Could be the future us. Who knows?
You know what's funny, dude? That clip that you played of that Jake Paul podcast, I was going to show the same exact part. That same exact part. I swear to God.
So good, bro.
Because the whole time I was watching it, I was thinking about because it's all names that you talk about all the time, shit you talk about, and stuff that we talk about, as far as like it being future us, and how if we do find out about it, it's just going to crumble what we think of reality, because the
rumors are coming out pretty heavy that what David Grusch told some of these people that he's been talking to, these insiders that he's talking about, the rumor is that it has to do with exactly what we've been talking about on the show, and that's human engineering. And it all begins with human engineering, and that we are an engineering project for these beings for whatever reason. They've been trying to create a better version of us for centuries, or we keep killing ourselves, or they kill us, who knows. But you know, there's an interesting case that I love to kind of pick apart or pick pieces and parts of to talk about, and that is the Majestic 12. And you know, we talked about Oppenheimer and how the Manhattan Project basically became the Majestic 12. And the Majestic 12, for those of you guys that don't know, they're just basically a group that have been given control of the what's
Knowledge
the
of
word?
UFOs.
Yeah, the knowledge of UFOs. Yes, exactly.
So what
And
kind of names
their
are
propulsion.
on there? Oh, yeah, like the engineering behind it, and
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, like
Like the
Oppenheimer
science.
yeah. Dr. Vannevar Bush.
A lot
You
of
know,
them
all the
were
early.
German Nazis, right? That they brought over.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Nathan Twining, Hoyt Vandenberg, Sidney
Mhm.
Sowers, who was an admiral at the time, a couple of scientists, Lloyd Berkner, Jerome Hunsaker, and Detlev Bronk. You had Assistant Secretary to the Army, Gordon Gray, and it would change. You know, it would constantly change. But so basically, if you guys don't know what the Majestic 12 is it's a set of papers that first surfaced in 1984 when a roll of film was passed over to a documentary filmmaker and also a ufologist, I believe Jamie Chandoray, and his friends were into the subject also, and it contained images of what looked to be documents of the United States military. And they were described as top secret government organizational documents from a group called the Majestic 12, which is supposed to be like a cabal of history's most prominent people that are in charge of protecting what the government knew about not only flying saucers but also extraterrestrials, right?
I have a quick
And
question because
yeah,
I said that's ever evolving. That
uh-huh,
those 12 people. I'm guessing because
yeah,
what they die off, retire, things like that, right?
yep,
Is
yep.
does that still go on today? That 12? There's like a group of 12 now.
Yes, I
Yeah.
believe so. I
Oh
believe
wow.
so. I think they've changed their name, and I think we talked about if I'm not too sure, we talked about recently that they changed their name, and we talked about it on a show a few months ago, I
Oh
believe.
damn.
But yeah, yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And so if you guys want to see, here's kind of what the documents look like. They were, you know, they had spots that were
Like a motherfucker.
redacted, and yeah, right. They're just pictures, are old pictures from the 80s, 1984, and you can see kind of how they looked at, but they've been transcribed, right? And one document, one of my favorite documents in this whole thing, is a document called the Twining Memo, or the Twining White Hot Report. And it's a 19-page document dated September 19th, 1947, and signed by a ton of military leaders on September 1947, or September 24th, 1947. And it has accounts of individual pilots who reported in 1947 like various details about encounters with different parts of the phenomena. And in this particular year, there was a ton of sightings, obviously in 47 and all over the world, right? In ships at sea and everything. And basically, it talks about like preliminary intelligence, like if they have intelligence, technical evaluation, scientific probabilities, political considerations, and national security structure, right? But the crazy stuff is it talks about bodies and bodies being discovered along with the material in crashes and all this crazy stuff that I love that type of shit. You know what I mean? And so I wanted to go over some of this stuff, and I'll put up the actual Twining report documents so you guys can kind of see what they look like. But I want to go over what brings this up, the transcription, right? So It says this article is extracted from section C and D of a collection of leaked, ultra top secret, eyes only access documents compiled by the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency Office of Counterintelligence dated January 1989. The documents were leaked anonymously by 2 retired military personnel on 13th of June 2017 to Heather Wade in Midnight in the Desert program. And basically they talked about
real quick, or
what's that?
Are you
Oh,
gonna pull
sorry.
it
Yeah,
up?
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know I did
No,
that.
you're good, you're good,
So
you're good, you're good.
yeah.
I'm gonna just
So
fuck with my light. I'll be right back. Just give me 2 seconds.
yeah. So the documents are pretty crazy, right? And here's what I want to talk about. So it says here on March 25th, 1948, at approximately 16:19 hours Mountain Standard Time, a disc-shaped flying machine came down about 12 miles northeast of a small community of Aztec, New Mexico. The controlled landing occurred in a small desert canyon on the private grazing land of a farmer and rancher. August, September, Nexus 59, page C2 of the 10. The disc craft was recovered in the landing zone, declared secured at 22:45 hours LT through the actions of Interplanetary Phenomena Unit. That's a military unit, I guess.
Where the
Scouts
fuck are you?
team.
Where are you reading this at? I see. It just says like. Oh, there you
I'm
go.
reading the transcription.
Oh,
Yeah.
my bad, bro.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So this is the transcription. So let me go back here, and I'll just put that up there so people know,
No,
like,
you're good,
kind of,
you're good,
you
you're
know.
good. I thought you were reading it off this. I was like, how are you reading that? Where is it?
No. The local rancher who owned the land and somebody else who they redacted it out of, they put a big black line, were held incommunicado while the field's analysis and subsequent cleanup was conducted at Hart Canyon. Visiting the rancher at the time and planning to hunt for game animals on his land were the owner of a local radio repair shop, plus an unemployed oil hunter and inventor. The last 2 parties were later to get together and tell a story to a columnist at a variety magazine named Frank Scully. So this is the report about the crash and all this craziness. The author later published a book in 1950 detailing parts of the Aztec recovery story. The breach of security was occasioned by the use of a cover story for the IPU, the what was that group? The Interplanetary Phenomena Unit workers that provided to be ineffective. It was decided to disguise the Aztec efforts as exploration for oil at a fictional drilling company. So they basically used, to do that. So to continue down, it says the following were selected by the MJ-12 Directorate to accompany IPU recovery team to the Hart Canyon landing site. Dr. Carl A. Hyland, Dr. John Van Neumann, Dr. Robert J. Oppenheimer, Dr. Johann von Rosler, Dr. Merle A. Tuvey, Dr. Horace Van Valkenburg of the Defense Intelligence Agency's group, right? The greatest discoveries were made on a lower level dubbed the cargo hold, but a team of investigators did not immediately find the closed door or hatch to the compartment. Instead, they found themselves in a small circular chamber about the size of an elevator cab. The spiral ramp of a very steep incline led around the center post of an upper chamber dubbed the flight deck. So they're talking about the UFO in here, right? And then they talk about the bodies in this thing. They say that a closer look at some sealed tubes, which look like the doors of clothes dryers and the laundromat, revealed that there were a complex form of refrigeration system. 2 were empty and 12 contained the bodies of what looked like human adults and small children, as well as infants, all frozen as if preserved for specimens. In the process of transferring the frozen extraterrestrial biological entity, or EBE, bodies from their capsules, the cargo hold of the disc craft to containers of dry ice for shipment. This is crazy, right? If this stuff is true, these are the documents that have been going around, and this is where a lot of these stories come from. And these type of stories are the stories that David Grusch can finally say, yeah, these are true. These are not true. You know what I mean? And if this comes out to being true, game changer. And they talk about the bodies in here. They also talk about
Yeah, because these documents have been floating since 1984. So if this stuff becomes true, everyone's going to be like, "Holy shit!"
yeah.
And
So
just to play devil's advocate really quick, what is how do we know that someone just didn't make this up and just give it to that documentary person? Like, what is the credibility behind it again? Like,
well,
how?
there's a lot of people that have been doing research on this stuff, and there's a lot of people that still say it's bunk. There's a lot of people that say it's true because of this, for this reason, but there are documents in here that have 100% recently been corroborated through other documents, like that whole JFK document that we talked about. That kind of got corroborated recently, that the dude was in the same place at the same time, and he had to go there for a reason for him, kind of these documents slowly are getting corroborated. There could be some bunk in here, I'm not saying that there's not, but the best part about the stuff to me is them talking about the actual alien that lived.
Yeah,
right?
get to that shit.
Yeah. So it says here, the second facility was organized around the efforts of teams of doctors led by Dr. Detlev Bronk to attempt the revival of the craft's occupants. Neither group knew what the purpose or progress of the other's research. Deep sleep in a cryogenic suspension chamber, as seen in the Stanley Kubrick film 2001: A Space Odyssey. That's basically what they're talking about, what it looked like. Eventually, the medical team was able to resuscitate one adult Earth-like humanoid male and 3 Earth-like humanoid infants, all about 6 months of age, 2 male and 1 female. The rest of the infants and 1 more short, gray-skinned, large-headed humanoid EBE perished in the attempt to revive them. This was largely the result of them having decided to experiment first on the infants who were little intelligence of value, and hope for reviving the short EBE and the adult humanoid for a telepathic and psychic skills as well. He says the EBE was, in his general appearance, completely human eternally. There were only slight differences in the formation of the heart valves and less able to process the wide range of foods that Earthmen are used to. He was surprised to discover a scientist had unfrozen him alive, but was otherwise undisturbed to find himself in the company of Earthmen. This shit sounds crazy to me.
Just really quick, besides the heart, the insides are just like a human.
So it sounds to me like, yeah.
I can't see where you're reading it, so I'm just listening.
Yeah.
But okay, that's that's fucking crazy.
Yeah. So, but these are the type of things that are in these documents that are fun to read about and fun to look at, right? And there's all these talks. Supposedly, one of the things that Grusch talks about in that recent thing is he says that there's been double-digit bodies found and live specimens, double-digit live specimens. So that's why I think it's crazy to talk about these things, because there's all different kinds. This is a totally different kind than the crash at Roswell, with the grays that they found. This is sounds totally different type of species.
There's like 70 or 80 different species.
Different species. That supposedly.
I want to know how big these infants were. Those little tiny creatures.
Yeah, who knows? It says after a hasty teleconference with President Truman, it was explained to the visitor that if his intentions proved to be non-hostile and he cooperated in an informational exchange, he would be granted diplomatic status and soon be repatriated to his own kind when the arrangement could be made. What the fuck, man? That's crazy, dude.
Hang on.
Right? He lived under protective custody on the Los Alamos complex for nearly a full year. From late April 1948 until March after that, he was sequestered at a private safe house set up by Army intelligence in rural Vermont, during which time he met with President and other top government and military administrators.
What the
This
fuck?
is the Aztec, New Mexico case, yeah, which is just as big as the Roswell case. So, but this is where they talk about him, him being called an EBE, an extraterrestrial biological entity, right? Well, there's all kinds of these cases like this, and this is just one of them. There's another crazy
where the term illegal aliens came in.
Hey, who knows, man?
Just
Who
letting anybody
knows?
in.
Yeah. There's also this guy. Now, this story is really crazy, and I think this guy might be totally fake. But there's
Yeah,
this guy
right.
named
Believe it.
seriously, there's this guy named Daniel Burrish, right? And he was supposedly a I'm gonna show you a picture of him. He was a
You're saying this guy's full of shit?
supposedly, yeah, I think he's full of shit, dude. But he was a big story for a long time, and this is one of the biggest stories. I remember working at ST, and I for like 3 years, it was
I don't
nothing
trust
but
that guy, dude.
this guy's stories, right? Yeah, right. He doesn't
I've worked
look
with
very
guys like
trustworthy.
that.
Yeah. And so basically, this guy is supposedly worked at one of the at S4 and worked with an alien that they called J-Rod. His name was J-Rod, right? And it says
J-Rod?
here, is it true? Is it true that Daniel Burrish worked with an extraterrestrial at Area 51? Remember how I told you about the microbiologists and how, one of the Majestic
yeah.
12 guys was that microbiologist
Mhm.
because of how the aliens, the gray aliens skin and how it acted and how they
It was like
used
plant.
energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. This guy's a microbiologist, a really famous or studied microbiologist, not famous, studied microbiologist, right?
Okay, that makes it a
And
little bit more believable.
yeah, a little bit. So it says here, is it true that Daniel Burrish worked with an extraterrestrial at Area 51? And it says, yes, Dan, and this is from his site. Yes, Dan worked with a being from Zeta Reticuli that came to be called J-Rod. That's J-ROD. Based on images he would point to during the time MJ12 was attempting to learn about this alien that had crash landed near Kingman, Arizona in 1953. Which is a famous case. This J-Rod alien had a secret name it was not allowed to publicly disclose, but because he was a member of a secret society back in the Zeta Reticuli star system, conveyed what it was to Dan, and they conveyed it to a third party who conveyed it to us. Dan worked with this alien life form in the 1994-1995 time period at S4, which is part of what is known as Area 51, though technically not Area 51. It's by Area 51. So just really, really crazy story. But here's the craziness. It says, all right. It says, Dan was a controversial figure who worked as a microbiologist and geneticist on a classified government projects related to the extraterrestrial beings. Due to dissecting elements within the CIA who opposed his whistleblower claims, his background identity was
Take
highly
his picture
debated.
down. I can't keep looking at this fucking guy. It's like I'm just staring at this guy for like fucking 5 minutes. You're killing me.
So it's crazy, right? And it says here, in 1990, Dan was told his assignment would be he would be taking care of a J-Rod that had survived a saucer crash outside of Kingman, Arizona in 1953. The small being resembled a monkey and communicated telepathically with Burrish. And by resemble the monkey, it was like how a monkey stands, like hunched over. He didn't look like a monkey, but he was like hunched over.
Using all
like that.
fours?
No, not using all fours, but his back, because basically what Dan says is that he was
Well, I mean,
dying
like, you know how when
because
they run with their hands, they're like no, never mind. Sorry.
yeah. Well, he was like dying because of a neuropathy that he had when he had to breathe, and so he became really hunched over and that type of stuff. But it says like this guy, when this story was coming out, was supposedly still working at the freaking Area 51 and stuff, and like nobody knew who he was, and like there was this cloak and dagger stuff going behind the scenes in the UFO world, and it was so ridiculous, bro. But I was so fucking into it at the time,
That shit's
right? Because I
fun.
thought it was real, yeah. And there was
That's
this
fun.
team of researchers called Project Camelot who were putting these things out on YouTube, like back in the early 2000s, like 2004, 2005, when YouTube wasn't even out at the time. I remember going to Project Camelot for their videos, and then they put it on YouTube in like 2007, I think 2006.
Oh.
But they would find this. They would go and like see this guy in a coffee place, and he would act like, oh, I can't really say these things, and he would tell the stories about this. I think it's probably come out that the guy is a fucking nut job because he got into this like thing where he found this chick that he hooked up with, and they started saying they were gods or something. I don't know, something weird
Oh,
shit like that.
Jesus
But
Christ.
it just goes to show you how much fun that stuff is when they're talking about this stuff. So I understand
Well,
why
plus how
people get
easier
caught up
way
in
you
it.
and plus how easier it was you could get away with it, especially in the early 2000s, you know.
Yes, and
You could just make
and
up anything and put it on the internet. People are like, "Oh my god, holy shit."
and that's could be some of those Majestic 12 documents. That could be bullshit. You know what I mean? But if David Grusch can start to say, yeah, that one is one I know is true, that one I know is true, because these events have happened. He does get asked in that YouTube video where that if he knows of any deals or pacts that have been made. He says no, he never saw anything like that.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
That'd be cool if you could verify that.
Yeah. So another cool thing is, did you see what's coming out on the next episode of Weaponized?
I have not.
Check this out. Check this out. This is cool. Next episode of Weaponized is a big deal.
Oh shit.
In this episode of Weaponized, in 2021, it was the 14th of December. It was reported across the media, from BBC to the Ministry of Defense throughout the UK and the world, over Syria, that there was, in quotes, a hostile drone that was shot by the Royal Air Force. This was the first air-to-air firing from the Royal Air Force in 40 years.
Since the Falklands War. It's the Falkland Islands War.
You know, we do have a strange image we want to show people today. We were able to confirm that this image that we have was associated with this event, meaning this is what we shot at. They labeled it unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAP.
And they give a little cliffhanger, right? But here is basically what the image looks like. It looks like this. It's a really shitty image, but you can see the outline of what appears to be something that looks like this. I don't have the exact image. I did see it in a YouTube channel that showed it.
Is that episode out right now?
No, I don't think so. I think it hasn't come out yet. I think it's their next episode.
Okay.
So, but
Damn,
this is
wow.
what it supposedly looks like. Almost looks like one of those gimbal ones, right? Like really interesting.
I've never seen one shaped like that ever, dude.
Yeah.
It's
So
like
that's
something you
coming
fucking
out.
put on top of your house for like the weather or something.
Yeah. I've also got a couple sightings here.
Before we get into things, I just wanted to share something that is kind of cool that happened. You know how for years, you know, well, we've been sharing sightings on this channel for years, right?
Yeah.
We always talk about like, well, what do you do if you know, you film some footage, like where can you put it? Like there should be some type of database or something, you know, where you can go to. Well, guess what? You might already know about this. I don't know if you heard about this, but I got a message on Reddit earlier today, and it says, "Hello, Bogcast. I'm messaging on behalf of Enigma Labs. Our company is dedicated to researching and analyzing UFO sightings. We're actively looking to build the largest database. Would you be interested in sharing your UFO sighting? This will connect you with others who have also had similar sightings. Here's the link." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm very interested, but like, how the hell do you know I have a sighting?" And they're just like, they just went, because I posted my footage on a Reddit UFO group. So I think they're just going into UFO groups and asking people the sightings if they can go on there. So I did a deep dive on this fucking site, and it seems pretty badass, dude. Check this shit out.
I've never heard of them.
Yeah, so they've been in like several different like this is the press they've been in, like Fortune, Bloomberg, Wired, Vice even did some. This link doesn't work, but Vice did an article on them. But it just talks about like a couple of years ago. It says Congress UFO hearing was really a desperate call for action. Who will answer it? There's actually one big way the government can answer the public's questions and concerns around UFOs, but those pleas may fallen on deaf ears. Hang on a second. This isn't even the right article. Anyway, check this out, dude. It's an app, and then I haven't downloaded it yet, but it's kind of like from my understanding, it would be like a Google Earth, and then you could just go to
Oh,
it,
wow.
see what the sighting is, the video that goes with it, and it's just like it seems like a really complex
Wow.
database, dude. So I was like, yeah, I'll give you our fucking our our my sighting that I had in Cottonwood.
We should
So
try to get them on the show, dude.
I told him that I'm going to talk about this tonight, and he's like, "Oh, thanks." He seemed pretty stoked. I was actually thinking about that, but yeah, now there's a actual app. See, look at that, dude. That to take your UFO sightings to. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That is cool, dude. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so just go to Enigma Labs.
.io. That is cool,
yeah.
dude.
Oh yeah.
That's really cool, actually. That's smart. It looked
Yeah,
badass.
check it out. Check it out later, dude. Those articles are pretty dope on it too. Like I guess a couple years ago, there was like a startup. It was a startup, and they were just trying to. Now they actually have it going and shit.
Nice. All right, dude. This is probably the craziest sighting of the week to start it off, but this is nuts. Check this out. So this is UFO extracts water from sea in Barcelona, Spain.
Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. Not kidding. I can't zoom in any further, but with my eyes I can see it. It's a fucking sphere. Okay, I've been watching this thing for maybe 4 or 5 minutes now. It has not moved.
Damn.
It's a sphere. That's as far as I can zoom in.
Right? That's crazy.
I don't know what the fuck it is. It's not moving. That's the boat moving
It looks
under it.
straight on the bottom.
Barcelona.
Dude,
Like it's like a ball but flat.
Time is, I don't even know. I can't see the time. I think it's about 6:30 p.m.
It changes shape and it keeps getting lower.
Come back down and just fucking hovering. I was going to keep recording just in case something crazy happens.
Right? This is nuts.
What the fuck?
I mean, I'm trying to wrap my head around what could possibly be, but I can't think of anything.
Bigger again, so we can move back this way. And now it looks like it's fucking water. Oh my god.
What are you doing?
Look at this thing here. See that silver orb on top of the water?
What are you doing?
Can you see it? Just there. I've been watching it. It's been raising up and coming down. It was closer.
Where did you say this was at again?
Barcelona, Spain.
It's getting further away, so.
Could it be like a parachute? I don't even think so. It could be a parachute, right?
Oh yeah, like a paragliding thing, but maybe it's just floating or stuck. I don't know.
Supposedly it picks up water. Let's see if it does it.
I want to see it shoot into the water. Any theories after we're done in the comments?
We'll check for sure.
Would you say it picks up water?
Yeah, it's supposed to.
It's always shitty ass videos.
No.
It's definitely looks like it's getting lower or further away. I don't know.
How long is this video?
Cannot zoom in anymore.
Oh, he's got a good 7 minutes of it, huh? Nice.
Oh, yep, it's going up. No one else seems interested in it, so that's absolutely crazy. Been down a couple of times, but come across our view in a second.
No one else cares. I feel like UFOs wouldn't be so obvious, you know?
Right.
Look how high it's gotten.
That's got to be one of those parachute
So let's
things,
see what
dude.
people say. Then nobody says anything, dude. Nobody says anything. So I think it's probably, that's the only thing I can think of is that it's a parachute, you know?
Yeah.
So you guys let us know what you think about that one. That was the first one of the day. Next, we've got this one. So this kind of reminds me of what you kind of saw, dude.
Oh yeah. Whoa. Damn, that one's bright.
Right?
Like
You see the
red
other
almost.
ones around it?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. That's the mothership I was talking about that everyone made fun of me for seeing that night. It's like, there's probably a mothership nearby. Everyone started laughing at me. They're like, why would you think, well, you know there's a mothership? I'm like, me and McClay been studying UFOs for years. The fuck? The one thing I fucking know is I know UFOs, motherfucker.
So this was taken by a pilot of a 747 Boeing over the Atlantic Ocean. 747 pilot records a UAP
what?
over the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah.
That's way different than mine because he's flying in the air and seeing that.
Yeah.
Damn, I thought that was from
You can
the
hear him
ground, like
talking
mine.
about it.
Damn, that's crazy.
All right.
And like I said with my footage, it doesn't do it the video doesn't do it justice. Especially like the movements and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that one's
like when I watch my video back, it's never as crazy it was when we saw it.
Yeah. So this is considered one of the best UFO videos ever. It's from 2007. It was filmed on a Motorola flip phone, dude.
Oh yeah, I
Check
just
this
saw this
out.
one.
Yeah.
I think we showed this one before actually. I kind of want a Motorola flip phone again, dude.
William.
Took off.
Tarbaca is near San Jose, the capital of Costa Rica. Just before 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Marvin Badia, a young carpenter, was working when he heard a strange buzzing that distracted him from his work. To his intense amazement, the young man saw that the source of the noise was about 100 meters away from him.
Yeah, I was gonna ask what was that noise, and that noise is that thing.
Damn.
And
I missed those phones.
I was shaping this table here outside. It was very cloudy. I looked up and saw some sort of object. It was very bright. I looked at it carefully and took out my mobile phone. I saw that it was giving me time to film it, so I started to record.
Wow.
I called my colleague who was working with the drill, but he didn't hear me. I called him again. I turned towards him, moving the phone, and when I turned back, the object had already gone.
It's crazy, right?
That just inspired me to make a music video all shot on a Motorola flip phone.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be dope? To shoot it on that flip phone?
Old school. Here you go. Final one. Footage sent in
the
by
Razor. The
UAP.
Razor was even better.
Yeah. This is Newcastle in the UK, 2022. Look at them all.
This guy says it's a
Hell.
phone. What the fuck? That one was moving around all crazy.
Yeah. So it could be,
Yeah.
could just be foam, or some type of shit up in the air. But to end the UFO report, I got to end it on somebody taking a shot at one of the people that I hate the most when it comes to talking shit about UFOs. And that is
Me?
Bill Nye the Science Guy. I fucking hate Bill Nye the Science Guy when it comes to UFOs because he always acts like such a douchebag. And shout out to
Is this a rant? I gotta play the music.
No, not yet. No, not yet. Not yet.
Go like remember, you
and-
gotta go like this when it is. You do this. You pull the mic in when you rant.
Yeah, and shout out to Dr. Bob Jacobs, this is the guy that saw the UFO go up to the missile, shoot a beam at the missile, and disarm the missile. You know that story, and that's been proven. It's been one of the things Grusch talked about at the missile place. So they're doing a thing, talking together. Watch this.
Which is quite a step from there to say it was definitely a spacecraft from another civilization. That's the leap that the skeptical community is reluctant to take.
Hey, pal, listen to me. I didn't say it was a spaceship from another civilization. I said it was something in the air that we couldn't identify. Therefore, it was an unidentified flying object. It was shaped like two saucers put together with a golf ball on top, and it fired a beam that we assumed was a plasma beam at a dummy warhead and knocked it out of space. Tell me what happened. Tell me who did that. Tell me in 1964, who had that technology, pal? Not us, and not the Russians, and nobody I know of. Nothing. There was nothing in our inventory that could
let's do this other little thought experiment, everybody. Okay, let's say this has been going on since 1967, routinely, right? There's an old joke in broadcasting.
Are you going to do this with baking soda and vinegar, Bill?
Hold on. We're running out of time.
This with baking soda and vinegar, Bill?
Hold on. We're running out of time.
Which quite.
Thank you. That was great,
He has a
dude.
fucking hack, dude.
Yeah.
Neil deGrasse Tyson's a fucking hack too. All those famous
I agree.
scientist guys, they're all fucking hacks.